Hello and welcome to today's webinar, PDF Process Improvement 101. This webinar is brought to you by Applied Software. My name is Caitlin Dunn and I'm pleased to be your moderator today. We encourage you to take advantage of our fully customizable webinar console by clicking on the icons at the bottom of your screen. You can resize any of these widgets during the presentation. We'll take time to answer questions at the end. Be sure to check out our free webinar library and to register for upcoming webinars. This is being recorded for your convenience. You'll be receiving an email with the recording link for future reference. Find Applied Software on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram to make meaningful connections, receive special offers, and stay up to date on the newest innovations. And be sure to visit our website, ASTI.com, to see how to achieve your design and business objectives through our innovative solutions, training options, and services. You can also find a complete schedule of upcoming events, webinars, and training on our calendar at ASTI.com/calendar. All right, I'm pleased to introduce Rick Kremer. Rick is a senior specialist at Applied Software with a demonstrated history as a Bluebeam expert. Thank you for joining us today, Rick. Take it away.
Awesome. Caitlin, thank you so much, and welcome everyone. I am so excited to be here. I love Bluebeam, and I got to tell you, I was introduced to it about 6 years ago and haven't looked back since. Bluebeam for me is an application that I use daily on everything, from construction documents to filling out forms, everything that I use on a daily basis as a project architect, as a team leader, and just as an individual person. Bluebeam is such a diverse application. I hope in the next handful of minutes or however long you're going to be joining us, you'll see some of these things that I use on 101 process of using Bluebeam. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen, and you all will let me know when you start to see it. So here we go, and
Loading.
All right, let me know when you see the agenda.
There it is.
Awesome. All right. Well, welcome everyone again. My name is Rick Kremer. I'm one of the Bluebeam specialists here at Applied Software, and I'm excited to present to you today's Bluebeam 101 process improvement. Today's agenda is going to be the following. We're going to talk about the tip of the day, and we're going to focus on just two things. There's so many different things, but I just want to focus on two things. One is, where did my menu bar go? The other one is how to set up Bluebeam as your default viewer within, or the application within Windows. A lot of times when I'm not doing technical support or webinars like this, I'm also answering phone calls as technical support or training on Bluebeam. And one of the things I get asked frequently is sometimes, where did my menu bar go? There's a new Windows update that came out about a month ago that really messed up a lot of Bluebeam applications, and I'll show you how to fix it in one easy step. And then we're going to look at how to work with PDFs as a single sheet within Bluebeam. In addition to that, then we're going to move to how to combine PDFs into a single file, adding page labels, and then creating hyperlinks. Now, if you've never heard of page labels or hyperlinks, you're in for a treat. This is one of the most powerful things that I think that Bluebeam has to offer that cuts down on my workflow as a project architect when I receive drawings. And this is applicable to the architecture, engineering, and construction fields when working with PDFs. And I think that if you follow these steps, you'll save tons of time. And then last is I'm going to talk to you about how to kickstart your learning on this new program that we're kicking off this month here at Applied Software. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First of all, I'm going to jump right into Bluebeam. Now, what you're looking at over here is my Bluebeam application. And if you have over here at the very top, this is your drop-down menu. If for whatever reason you open up Bluebeam, and there is no drop-down menu. Now, over here, you guys, Caitlin, you do see Bluebeam over here, and my menu's disappeared, right? No tricks up my sleeve?
Correct.
All right. So as a tech, I have to say my phone was ringing off the hook when Windows came out with this update. And it did something where no matter if you uninstall Bluebeam and reinstall it, your menu bar up here has disappeared. And even if you uninstall it, it was crazy. It would not show up. And this makes using Bluebeam pretty much near to impossible because there's no functions over here. So the key to bring it back is the F9 key. Now, if you have a little keyboard like this, all you have to do is find the F9 up at the very top. You don't have to hit Function and F9. That's going to bring some alternate thing within Windows, like, what is it? To show your magnifying glass on my Dell. So in this case, all you have to do is just hit F9. And when I do that, it's going to come over here and bring it back. So again, F9, for those of you who are missing your Bluebeam menu bar, and you'll kind of need that when using Bluebeam. The next tip is how to create Bluebeam as your default PDF application. So a lot of people, when they install Bluebeam, they always go in over here to Windows, and here are some sample PDFs. Now, you'll notice on my computer over here, I have these PDFs, and if I double click on them, it opens up Adobe. Now, Adobe Reader is free, and it's installed on every single computer. Plus, it's available on your smartphones. But the thing is, when I double click on this, I want to have Bluebeam open these PDFs. And you'll notice the icon over here on the left-hand side indicates that it's going to open up in Adobe. Well, we don't want Adobe. We want to dump Adobe. So over here, what I'm going to do is simply select one of those PDFs. I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to select Open With. Now, here's the trick. You want to go through over here and select Choose Another App, okay? When I do that, I'm going to browse down. Right now, my default is Adobe, and I'm going to scroll down, and this is after you install Bluebeam. I'm going to select Bluebeam Review. And what I'm going to do is before selecting this, I'm going to select Always Use This App when opening up PDFs, and then select Review. When I do that, I'm going to then hit OK. And if I did everything correctly, it's going to open it up in Bluebeam Review. I'm going to go ahead and close this now. And if I go back into Windows, there it is. Now, each one of these PDFs has the Bluebeam icon. Isn't that awesome? This was a quick 2-second little thing. So now anytime I open up or double click a PDF anywhere on my computer, whether it's on OneDrive or SharePoint, Dropbox, whatever it is, as long as it's a PDF, I'm going to open it up. So that's how to set up your default PDF viewer. So now let's talk about working with sheets. So here's kind of the story that I'm going with for today on our process. A lot of you might receive drawings, and these PDFs might be individual PDFs as they are here. So in this case, I've received a set of drawings from the architect, and all of these are individual sheets. Now, to work with a single sheet, all I have to do is simply double click on it at this point. When I double click on it, it is going to open that up in Bluebeam. So now I can begin to work on it and do whatever it is that I need to do and create my markups. Come over here and do my markups and do my favorite Cloud Plus and do all the things that I want to on a single PDF. But most of us are not going to be working on a single PDF. We're going to be working on multiple PDFs. So the typical workflow that I will go through is to go through and combine all of these PDFs. It's going to make it easier for me to manage the set of drawings that I've received. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to take that set of drawings as one single file and be able to do some really, really amazing things. So what I've done is I'm going to go through over here on Bluebeam, and I'm simply going to close it. Now, I'm closing it just for theatrics, really. You can leave it open if you like, but all of this is going to be completed within Windows. Now, this is, again, after you install Bluebeam. This will be available to you as an option to do what's called a staple. Now, you might think, well, wait a minute. I have one of those. I have my stapler right here. Ultimately, what we're going to be doing is using this stapler, but digitally. Like that, I wish I had a red stapler. If anyone knows where that red stapler comment is, hit me up in the chat window. Let me know where you think that comment is from. Anyway, over here, what I want to do is I want to combine all of these PDFs. Within Windows, all I'm going to do is select the first sheet, hold Shift, and select the last one. Now, I've selected all my sheets, all my individual PDFs. I'm going to simply right-click, and in the menu over here, I'm going to use Combine Files and Review. This is awesome. Over here, what I'm going to do is simply click on Combine Files and Review. Now, this is going to open up the stapler. Now, this is a virtual stapler that is included on all 3 editions of Bluebeam. Over here, I have the ability to go through and change the order of any of these. Now, since these are in order already, I don't have to move them. But let's say for argument's sake, I wanted to take number 5 over here and move it up. All I have to do is select it to move it up in the order in which these drawings are going to be stapled together. Now, keep in mind, even though you change the order, if you change it here, you can always go back once you open up Bluebeam and change the order of those sheets. So we're good. Over here, I have all the sheets that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to select the output file name. Make sure to put in a name. In this case, I'm going to call this Arch SD set. Okay, Arch SD set. Next is under step 3. Well, it's nice. They even have it labeled step 1, step 2, and step 3. Step 3 is I'm going to use the same source folder. Now, I like doing this in lieu of having it go to another folder. If I use the source folder, it's going to put it in the root directory of the same folder where these individual files are. Now, all I have to do is simply hit OK. We wait for it, and it's going to bring up the stapler. Now, the stapler over here is going to give us just one more shot of taking a look at our finalized list, and then when I'm happy with it, I'll click on Staple. That's it. Now, over here on my other screen, I'm opening up Bluebeam. So this looks like a regular drawing, just like what we had before, but if you notice down below, I can click to the other sheets. How awesome is that? Here's the name of my drawing set. This is Arch SD set. And if I click on this little icon right here, this is to preview all the thumbnails. Now, if the thumbnails icon doesn't show up on your screen, all you have to do is go over here on the sidebar, right-click, click on Show, and then click on thumbnails right here, and it'll bring up thumbnails. Now, with our thumbnails over here, we can see all of the different drawings. How amazing is that? We have, in total, 36 architectural sheets for this particular drawing set. Now, over here, this makes it very difficult in my mind, once I first receive this, to be able to see what is sheet number 4, sheet number 5. This is where we're going to do what's called page labels. Now, Bluebeam allows us to go through and create page labels in a very, very special way using optical character recognition, or OCR. What we're going to do is we're going to have Bluebeam scan all of these drawings. And in this case, what I want to do is, instead of it saying number 1 and number 2, I want it to say the sheet number. And then I also want it to tell me what is this on that sheet. So let's go through and I'll show you how we can easily do this. Now, this is available to you within Bluebeam. And what I'm simply going to do is right here, I'm going to select Create Page Labels. When I do that, I have 2 options. One is to use bookmarks, which I don't have, or I'm going to create page regions. What this is I'm going to select an area or a region of the page for it to go through and do optical character recognition, or OCR, to give it a page label, a name basically. What I'm going to do is select the region of the page that I want it to scan. So I'm going to click Select, and then browse over here to the bottom right-hand corner. In this case, it's going to be something that's consistent between sheet to sheet. In this case, it's this right here, which is our page number, and it'll give us a preview. This is awesome. It automatically converted that to the preview. Now, I could leave it at OK and just have it all say all the page numbers, but I want to take it to the next step. Not only do I want it to have the page number, but I also want it to have the title of what this sheet is. What I'm going to do is inside the selection box, I'm going to click inside, hit the space bar, and then hit dash. So there's a nice little space in between. Hit space again, and then click add. Now I'm going to scan again this area. So what I'm telling Review is to scan both of these regions on every single drawing, and then it's going to generate what's called a page label. And here's a preview of that page label. This looks good. If this does not show what you want it to do, start over and hit cancel. In this case, everything's good to go. I'll go ahead and click on OK. Now, next is going to say, well, which ones do you want to do this to? In this case, I can select some pages. In this case, a custom range, or all of them. I'm going to do it on all of these sheets, and I'm simply going to click OK. I wish I even had time to go get coffee. It's that fast. Take a look over here, folks. On the left-hand side in my browser, I can see all the different thumbnails, and sure enough, look at that. A 1.3, 1.30 roof plan, and it says it right here. Isn't that awesome? Now, you'll notice also over here, it gives me the inch. That means the scale has not been set. So in this case, what I might do is just uncheck page scale, just so it makes it nice and clean. I can always go back. I have to, afterwards, go back and set the scale, and that's going to be for another session. Over here, now all my drawings have what's called page labels. Awesome. So this makes it really easy to navigate through the drawings. Next is another feature of that's called hyperlinks. Now, hyperlinks gives us the ability to go through, if you're a Revit user, you know, if we were to select, for example, this right here, if this was Revit, it would automatically go to that section. Well, this is just a PDF, but I'm going to show you how we can elevate the PDF to what I consider PDF 2.0. Taking this PDF, utilizing Bluebeam, allows us to create what's called hyperlinks. And again, we're going to use OCR to go through and scan this drawing. Now, this could be one sheet, it could be 50 sheets, it could be 500 sheets. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell Bluebeam to go through and scan each one of these section areas. And if it is connected to another sheet, in this case, if there is a 302, I want you to go to sheet A302, okay? So over here, for example, there is a 302 sheet right here, but you'll notice there is no hyperlink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and tell Bluebeam to scan all of these drawings. To do that, this is a feature over here in the Bluebeam Extreme Edition. Now, by the way, Bluebeam comes in 3 different editions. Everything that I've shown you up to this point is included in Standard and CAD. And if you want this batch feature, this is only in Extreme. To find out which version you have, click over here under Review and then under About. And this will tell you which version or edition you have of Bluebeam. Again, I'm using Bluebeam Extreme, which has everything. And I got to tell you, totally, totally worth it because of the amount of time it saves. I'm going to go to the batch area over here, and I'm going to select link. Then I'm going to select new to create a new batch link. Selecting new over here, I'm going to tell it to include the open files. In this case, my Arch SD set. I could also browse to other drawings that I don't even have open. But in this case, I'm just going to add the one that I'm currently in, hit next. At this point, this is going to look similar to when I created my bookmarks. In this case, I'm going to go over here and do a page region and click on select. Again, I'm going to go over here to the first sheet and select this area. And it gives me a preview. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. At this point, I'm going to click on link options. Now, this is something special that I want to show you. Out of the box, it's going to have different things, but I want to show you some of the things that I like to do when creating this batch link. First of all, I'm going to select Include Appearance Properties, and I'm going to change it from solid, which is the way it is out of the box. And when we do that, it's just going to be an outline. Instead, I'm going to do a fill, okay? So when this fill, or maybe even a highlight, this will go through and it'll appear as a highlighted area, like as if I were to take a highlighter. Next, I'm simply going to go through and click OK, and then click Generate, okay? I'm going to click Generate, and what it's doing is it's looking for all of the drawings. Now, if there's an error, now, for example, this is a nice clean set of drawings, but originally the architect in this case might have sent me 3 of these sheets. Now, I have to tell you, when I first did this, there actually was 3 A00s. For whatever reason, they had printed it 3 times and it was the same drawing. If there's an error, which you might see, it's going to show up as a little triangle. It's going to tell you, hey, there's an issue. In this case, I had a duplicate of some sheets. All I have to do is uncheck them if I wanted to ignore it, or if I don't want to include it. If I want to just ignore it and have it be a page hyperlinked on all those pages, I'm just going to include it. In this case, everything looks good. There isn't anything I'm going to do. And now I'm simply going to click on Run. I sit back, relax, and let's see what it did. Look at this. It created 478 hyperlinks. Let's see exactly what that means. I'm going to click Finish and Close. Now, if I go back to the same drawing, take a look at this. Right over here is this new blue indicator. Remember, I told it to do blue as a highlight so I can see through it. Now, if I wanted to take a look at this section, I'll simply click on it, and it'll take me right to that sheet, A302. How awesome is that? Now, you'll notice, for example, on this sheet, this is a real set of drawings, by the way. This one doesn't have a hyperlink. And I was wondering about it. I was like, wait a minute, why is there no hyperlink? And I thought, well, maybe it's broken. Over here, there's a hyperlink. But when I look carefully, there is no sheet A4.4 in my list. And let's take a look. Over here, I'm going to scroll through, and I'm going to see it goes from 4.13 to 6.1. So I have missing sheets. Very interesting. So this is where I have an opportunity to reach out to the architect or whomever sent this to me and say, hey, there's some missing sheets over here. If I scroll over here, I'll notice this one is included. So all I have to do is click, and it takes me right to that sheet. And these are all hyperlinked. Now, if you're coming from an earlier version of Bluebeam, if we were to go ahead and print out this set, now, if you're using Bluebeam Review 2017 or 2018, there was a trick that was from a friend of mine online to create these as layers and then turn those layers off when printing, because these would show up when you print. But new in Bluebeam Review 20 is the ability, if I go through and select Print, okay, so here's that sheet. What I want to do is you want to make sure, and this is a new feature in Review 20, is to uncheck Print Visible Hyperlinks. Because if this is selected, when you do print this PDF, all of those blue areas will show up blue on those PDFs, or if you print it to a regular printer. So make sure to turn this off and not print your visible hyperlinks. And then when you print, these will not show up. How fun is that? Now, at this point, all I have to do is simply save this drawing. I'm good to go. And if I want to email this to someone, all I have to do is go over here to File, Email. It opens up my Outlook. And over here, I can start to send this out to my coworkers, Alan and Tiffany. And I'll just simply hit send. That's all I have to do to now send this off to my coworkers. I don't have to save it anywhere. I don't have to open up Outlook and attach item. It's all done. So let's do a quick overview of what we did today. We looked at how to work with a single sheet of PDFs. We looked at how easy it is to go through and set up windows so it's your default application is Bluebeam. Next is the ability to go through and combine those sheets. It's really easy. Again, select them all and right-click. It's going to be one of your options. we added page labels, and those page labels will show up over here, which really gives us the opportunity to go through and see exactly what these are called. And it's easy to do. And quite frankly, I think it's fun, but I'm quirky like that. Next, we went through and added hyperlinks. And hyperlinks for me is super, super important because this is something that I'm used to doing within Revit. But now in Bluebeam, this gives me the ability to simply click and go to that sheet. And this is such a wonderful time-saving feature. And last is how to go through and kickstart your learning. So one of my jobs here at Applied Software is to provide training and technical support to folks just like you. Well, if you go over here and let me just open up my presentation again. If you reach out to us, there's a new thing that we just started, a new program just this month, and it's our Kickstart at Getting Started on Learning Bluebeam. If you're interested in finding out what I'm talking about, reach out to us at bluebeam@asti.com. Now, this Kickstart program that we're offering is something new that's just to new customers that have just recently purchased Bluebeam, and it's a $500 value. I know it sounds too good to be true, and it doesn't come with a Ginsu knife, but it comes with the knowledge on how to use Bluebeam. So if you have any questions about our Kickstart program, as well as how to get Bluebeam or any questions that you might have, feel free to reach out to us at bluebeam@asti.com. Well, Caitlin, that's all that I have for today. Let's see if we have any questions from the audience.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rick. You did awesome. So it looks like we have a couple questions already. If you're out there and you do have a question, you have this time to go ahead and type that up and send it into the Q&A. So kicking it off is Michael, who asks, how do I reopen my recent files? If I close out Bluebeam and reopen it, I then click on File Access and then Recent Files, but it always brings up my old files, not my most recent session.
So I think this is what you might be talking about over here. Now, when you start working in Bluebeam, you're going to have a recent history of, as you're working in Bluebeam, it'll show you everything that you're working with here. Now, for me, I'm a big advocate of going to exactly where the drive is to open up that file. That way I'm not accidentally opening up something that I shouldn't be. But the recent area over here under File, Open Recent, is going to show you a grocery list of where all your recent files are. I hope that answers your question. And Michael, if not, again, feel free, reach out to us at bluebeam@asti.com. and I'll get back to you personally.
All right. And then next, Tiffany asks, OCR is only available in the Extreme Edition. Is that right?
That is correct, Tiffany. Thank you so much for pointing that out. The ability to go through and scan the drawings like I did to create the batch link. As I'd mentioned before, Bluebeam comes in 3 different editions: Standard, CAD, and Extreme. The ability to go through under the batch feature and utilize OCR, or optical character recognition, is a feature that's included in Bluebeam Extreme Edition. Each edition has a little bit more bells and whistles, and typically I'll find a lot of customers that'll go through and have a mix of standard and some extreme that have everything. The Bluebeam Extreme will mostly have everything here under the batch features, including OCR, the ability to go through and create functions that are on multiple drawings. In standard and CAD editions, you will not have a lot of the batch features. Okay, great question, Tiffany. Thank you so much.
All right. And then Fran asks, once you created the page labels, can you break the set apart and keep the labels as file names?
So interestingly enough, what you can do is over here, if you wanted to break out some of these drawings, if I select, let's say, these top 6, I'm going to right click and I'm going to do an extract. That's a great question. Wow. Over here, I'm going to select extract. And then one of the things I'm going to do is select use page label to name the files. And what I'm going to do is update those hyperlinks. So as long as you have this and this selected, this should maintain the hyperlinks. And what's nice is, in this case, I like to break these out as individual sheets. So in this case, I'm going to extract those out as separate files, and each one of those files will be called whatever the page label is here, .pdf. Great questions. Wow.
Wonderful.
We got some folks that are on top of their game.
No kidding. We have two more questions, it looks like. Michael asks, is there a free trial version?
Actually there is. Let me show you over here. If we go over to our website, I'm going to go over to Applied Software. And so I'm going to go over here and go to ASTI.com. Everything awesome at ASTI.com. What we want to do is we're going to click over here on Resources and then select Bluebeam. So this gives you all the information about Bluebeam here on our website and a hyperlink right here to download the latest, greatest Bluebeam. Now, what's nice about this is you will get a full functioning extreme version that runs fully for 30 days. After those 30 days, it becomes a viewer only, unless you're invited to what's called a session, and then it becomes fully functional. But what's nice about this landing page here is that you can click on any of these hyperlinks to find out information about all the different things about Bluebeam. And again, if you're ever interested about requesting more information, again, here's Bluebeam at ASTI.com to get a hold of us for some training or questions.
Wonderful. And our final question, it looks like, is Jamie asks, can PDFs created with Bluebeam be used by people who only have Adobe?
That's a great question. And so, a lot of people, so when you get a computer, whether it's a MacBook or a PC, it includes Adobe Reader. It's your default viewer. When we're working in Bluebeam over here and I save this drawing, ultimately, that is going to be nothing more than a PDF. You'll notice the icon over here, and when I go through and let's say I have another set of drawings, and this drawing over here has some markups. All I have to do is, let's say if I'm using Adobe, I'm just simply going to open it up in Adobe. Because it's a PDF, this particular drawing was created using Bluebeam. And depending on how I save this, I can save all the comments that are over here. This particular drawing, everything that's in color was a markup that was created in Bluebeam, and I can share this with any device, anyone who has Adobe or a smartphone, everyone except Blackberries, I think. I'm kidding. I have no idea. If anyone's using a Blackberry, I apologize. But if you're using a Apple, MacBook or PC, Windows-based or Linux, as long as you have Adobe, you can open up those PDFs. So exchanging PDFs has never been easier. Great questions.
We actually had one more question come in from Alex, who asks, can you use a similar search function like you did for page labels to search for page scales, or is that a manual entry?
Wow. I think that would be a great feature. And Alex, I'll tell you what, over here under the help menu is make a suggestion. That would be an awesome thing to do. Creating the calibrating the scale for each one of these drawings is something that is still done over here by a manual operation. So what I'll have to do is, this is at a 1/16 of an inch. And what I can do is simply come over here, for example, or this one's at an 1/8. I'll right click and over here and set the scale. Now I can go through, and this is at an 1/8 of an inch. So I'll tell it that this is at an 1/8 of an inch. Now, what I can do, I'm going to hit cancel. I can select multiple sheets. Okay. So let's say, for argument's sake, all of these drawings were all at an 1/8 of an inch. With all of them highlighted, I can right-click and set the scale, hit Input, and tell those all to be at an 1/8, and here's the page region. So I can have them all, in this case, I'm pointing to the screen, to all these individual sheets. Now, the catch is you want to go ahead of time and go through and determine which ones are the same scale. So no, that's a feature I really wish that they would include, but this is more of a semi-manual feature that you have to set the scale. Great question. By the way, if you're using Bluebeam over here, the help menu is incredibly helpful. Bluebeam takes a lot of time in making sure that if you have any questions, there's an incredible help area. There's built-in tutorials and online resources for continuing your education on upping your game in Bluebeam.
Well, it looks like that about does it with questions. Thank you so much. That was wonderful.
Right.
Yeah, everybody, thank you so much for attending today. If you have any other questions, again, feel free to contact us or Rick. We'd be more than happy to help you out. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you spending your time with us, and we trust that it was meaningful and impactful for you and your business. We look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.